Howdy everyone, it's me Zombie and welcome back to my happy little cosplay channel. Today I'm going to be making a bean cosplay from Disenchantment. This video covers everything from just the pile of materials, making the whole thing, all the way up to getting ready for a photo shoot. I really hope seeing this process helps you make something cool of your own. And if you want to watch me make a bean cosplay, then keep on watching. Alright, so getting started on bean here, I got these leggings on Amazon. They're just some brown leggings, but they are literally so soft, you guys. They're so comfortable, and they were really cheap, so I'll link them down below if you'd like to get a pair of your own. And this is the wig I got. This one's really long, but it's got like these really nice waves and curls, so I will be cutting this and styling this. And I got a lace front this time around because she has like a bit of a widow's peak with a really nice part. So I really wanted that to look like as natural as possible. I got these two colors of linen from my local Joann store. They're actually right next to each other. It was like it was meant to be. They're really the perfect colors. And I'm gonna be making her tunic out of these. All right, so looking at her reference photo, it looks like the tunic comes to about like mid-thigh-ish area. But I'm gonna start with the darker colored first, because it's really just like a long sleeveless shirt. I believe I only got 1.5 yards of this blue at most. Like, is this blue, green? I always get my blues and my greens mixed up. It just looked close to the reference photo, so I got it. So I need my tunic to be long enough, so I'm just taking the spare elastic. If you have a little measuring tape, that's great too. So I'm gonna use this since I'm in a bit of a pinch. I'm gonna measure from the top of my shoulder to about where I want the tunic to end. I'm going to mark how long I want my tunic to be now with this measured piece, and it's right there. And I'm just gonna mark a little mark with my pencil so I know how long my tunic needs to be. I'm also gonna measure approximately how wide I want my collar to be. Because this is so simple, I'm sketching some of the design right onto the fabric because I know this will come off. And you can totally use like fabric chalk or, you know, whatever you want to use. If you wanted to do a more calculated approach to making a garment like this, you can totally make your pattern out of wrapping paper or printer paper or roll paper or anything like that that you have around. In fact, there are a ton of different ways to do something like this. This is just how I'm choosing to do it today because it works for me. And now I have the front half of my design here. Now I'm gonna cut out the neck piece. And I'm making it a bit smaller than my original sketch because if I need to make the neck hole bigger, I can, but if I make it too big and try to make it smaller, that's gonna be more of a problem. Baby steps. So I just held this up to myself, adjusted the neckline a little bit so it would be a little bit more how I wanted it. Now I'm gonna do the same thing with the back. I just laid down my front piece onto my second piece of fabric here, and I'm using this center seam for what I want the back of the tunic to look like. And I know I don't want the back of my tunic to have this deep of a V, but I do want the two pieces to kind of meet up in the back. So I'm sketching a shallower neckline here and really just making adjustments as I go. And doing it this way is so quick and dirty. I'm only doing it this way because I've done this plenty of times before and I feel confident in what I'm doing. And if you're making something like this and you want to make a pattern, by all means do it. Like, you just kind of gotta judge every situation and figure out what you're comfortable doing and do it that way. And today I feel a little crazy, so I'm gonna do like some crazy freehand cosplay stuff. But if that's not your cup of tea, that's fine. This is just how I'm doing it today. All right, so here is my back piece right here, and my front piece. With these wonder clips, I'm gonna clip my little shoulder pieces together here. I'm gonna do the same with the other side. And as I clip them, I'm just making sure the middle part of my back meets up with the middle part of my front there. So next, I'm gonna use my sewing machine and sew up my little shoulder seams right here, and then we will move on. So I know I need to give myself plenty of room in the arm area so I have good range of movement. So from the top of the shoulder to where I want my armhole to end is gonna be about 9 inches. So I'm gonna measure that on each side and then pin that little seam into place. Well, I should say clip that seam into place on each side. Now I'm just gonna sew both of my sides up. Now, initially when cutting this, I made sure that I had plenty of room on both sides so I don't have to worry about seam allowance. So this is all sewed up on the side now. I'm gonna try it on real quick and see how we're looking so far. Okay, so here's what we got so far. We have our little tunic that's all sewed up on the sides and on the shoulders. Obviously, have some adjustments to do around the sleeves, around the collar, but my next order of business is going to be turning in these little seams on the side of the tunic right here. I'm really just gonna fold them in about 1/4 to 1/2 inch and sew a little hem there. So I just got done making these little seams on the side of the tunic right here. And now I'm gonna go in and take in these sides just a little bit. If you really wanted to, you could totally just leave it like this, throw a belt around it, it would look fine. But I just want it to be a little bit more form-fitting. So I'm gonna take in each side probably about 1.5 inches or so. So here's how the tunic fits now. I think it actually fits a lot better now. And sorry about this weird little lump right here. That's just how my shirt is tied today. Next, I'm gonna move on to the shoulders. So I'm gonna fold the shoulders so that they're even right here, and then I'm just gonna do a really simple roll hem. So I just added a little strip of elastic under the arm right here, just so the fabric would kind of gather correctly without fiddling with it too much. This is the first time in a while I've worked with like a linen that has no stretch at all whatsoever. And I can tell already after this edge is all flipped over, oh, it's gonna look so much better. So I'm gonna do that, and then my sleeves will be done. All right, now the elastic is installed right under the arm, and now we're getting somewhere. Now I'm going to trim the bottom of my tunic, hem it up, and the top of this will be done. I have some embroidery floss here, and I'm gonna be using this to sew in some of the details. So this little seam right here is actually a very bold black color in the show. So I'm gonna make a little bold black seam. And there's also an X pattern in the middle. And look who it is. Hi, Neeners! It wouldn't be a cosplay video if you weren't here. I think you think everything I work on is just a bed for you. Neeners has compromised and has agreed to sit on my lap while I finish sewing this one last part. Oh, okay, goodbye, Neeners. And here it is after adding the little stitched in details. And since I have my tunic all done, I'm just gonna trace this onto my lighter fabric to make the undershirt underneath. And this will likely need some minor adjustments here and there before we add the sleeves. And this part will also be a lot shorter than the tunic because this doesn't really need to come down all the way. It's just an undershirt really. And you really only see the sleeves of this part. Now that I have my basic shape here, I'm gonna measure from the top of the shoulder to where I want the armhole to be. So it's gonna be about 8 inches. And then I'm gonna use my little clips and clip my two sides together. And now I'm gonna sew my sides together. And this is inside out, but this is what I've got so far. I like how it's fitting, so now I'm gonna add on some sleeves. So this piece of linen that is under my shirt piece right now is 4 layers deep. So I am going to trace a little armhole right there. And I kind of like how this is fitting. This is how my sleeve is gonna be cut. And I'm gonna make it a little bit longer, and I'm gonna give myself some seam allowance too. So the edge of my sleeve hole's right here. I'm gonna be giving myself some extra material room right here. And I'm gonna make my sleeve a little longer than I think it needs to be. And this will give me room for a hem. All right, and now we got our arms that are ready to be sewed onto our shirt. Look who it is again. You always like to watch me sew. Not so much other stuff, but sewing is very exciting for you to watch. Do any of you guys have animals that like to watch you work on cosplay? Mine loves it. Neeners is all about it. Very good helper, Neeners. All right, and here's the shirt with the hem sleeves. Very loose, but it's just gonna be under that tunic. So now that this is all ready to go, I'm gonna put on my tunic and see how it looks all together. Wow, and that's how it looks all together so far. It looks pretty cool. And this is what it looks like with this belt I found today at a thrift store. I got it for $8. Kinda can't beat that. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna paint this little buckle silver, but before we can do that, I'm gonna scuff this really smooth surface with some fine grit sandpaper. And that's just so the paint sticks better, because on a super slick surface, like how this is now, it's gonna be really hard for the paint to stick and it may even chip. I was gonna use Rub and Buff, but something else I wanna try that I'm gonna have a little bit more precision with is this Chrome Deco Color Marker. From what I remember, this was super bright and super effective for what I needed it for. And since I don't want to attach the buckle from the belt, I'm gonna see how this looks. Wow, that actually is super bright and I love how that looks. I'm gonna start with one layer of this stuff, and if I like how it looks, I may go over with a second layer to make it even shinier. Now this is all done, and the paint from the pen is actually still kind of wet. I'm painting on this gunmetal paint by Tamiya, and this is just dulling the shine just a little bit and making it look a little bit more worn, you know, to make it kind of look more medieval-y. Now I'm doing this just because I think the bright chrome is just a little bit too bright, and I kind of want to make it a darker color. I don't know, just for me it's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. It still looks silver, but again, it's just totally personal preference. You can do whatever you want. I just ironed my bean costume so there's not any weird folds or wrinkles in it. And now that I am in it, today is the day of my photo shoot. So I am going to try on my wig, and after I pin my hair up, I'm just gonna put a wig cap over it to keep everything out of my way. Now that my hair's out of the way, I'm gonna put in some blue contacts. Characters in the show describe her as having blue eyes. In the actual show, it looks like her eyes are just black, but I don't know. And now that I have my contacts in, I'm also going to put on my eyelashes. Alright, so I just put my eyelashes on. My face is pretty much done. I'm gonna go ahead and try on the wig and start styling it. Okay, and here's how she looks right out of the bag and on my head. So using my scissors, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this wig to length. And then I'm gonna use my thinning shears to make this look a little bit more natural and kind of blended at the ends here. Next up is gonna be working on the hairline, and how I like to make wigs look a little bit more natural is I will stick them to my face like this using hairspray or hair gel. I'm gonna be using some Got To Be Invincible styling gel. This stuff is like hair glue. It's so good. And gonna kind of put it on both the lace and on my face. I'm gonna bring my little lacy parts down, and I'm just gonna hold them there for a couple minutes while they dry. Seriously, this stuff is like one of the best go-to like wig styling product things ever. I freaking love it. It's so good. And I also use some pins on either side just to kind of bring some hair away from the ears. And with this white wig, my eyebrows are a little bit too dark. So I'm gonna lighten them up a little bit with some translucent powder. And I'm also gonna use a little bit of my concealer to mix in with that as well. And as a final touch, I'm adding some darker freckles. I have freckles on my face, but they're definitely not going to show up in photos, so I want them to be a little bit more cartoony. So I'm going in with some copper colored eyeshadow using the tip of my brush and kind of just spotting them around randomly on my face and on my nose. And then I'm gonna use a damp beauty blender and just kind of pat them all in and blend them in a little bit more. Now I'm gonna head out to my local park and get a photo shoot in this. And here is the finished costume. It was a lot of fun running around in the woods, taking photos of this cosplay. And of course, it is a really light and comfortable costume to wear, and I can't wait to wear it again in the near future. I really appreciate the support of these amazing people over on Patreon. Your support makes cool projects like this possible, so thank you guys so much. This week's Makers of the Week include Intrepid Canvas, who made this really cool Jinx cosplay with her husband. They made it completely from scratch. They designed everything, and it turned out awesome. The Hypno Realm on Instagram showed me this amazing MHA cosplay. I love it so much. He did such a great job. I love that he had roses too. It's so cool. Zoltor showed me her Lone Survivor cosplay that she made. She even has the shish kebab. She looks so badass. Thank you so much for showing me. Seeing what you guys create makes my day. If you're working on something, I would love to see it. Feel free to show me. My Instagram and Twitter are the same. They're both Zombies Workshop, so I can't wait to see you over there. Whether you're brand new here or you've been with me for a while, I just want to say thank you so much for your support. And if you're into cosplay or if you just like videos like this and you haven't yet, consider hitting that subscribe button because I would love to see you back. Thank you all so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you back next time. Bye everyone. Make some music. Ooh, there's dog poop right there.
Oh, you've already stepped in it.
Good.